of a slight rough start there. That's because the car is cold on a relatively cold day here in Texas on E85. And that is what this video is about. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back here to another video. Today, I'm going to talk about and review about the long-term effects and my opinion of consistently being on E85 every day for the last, actually just over 2 years now, because a lot of people have a misconception about E85 that you should cycle through a tank of 93 every so often because it's bad for the fuel lines and your injectors and all this other kind of shit and nonsense, and give my opinions on that and why I haven't switched over to 93 during the cold months, like now when it's relatively cold, like December and January. A lot of people switch from E85 to 93, and why I'm staying on E85, and the benefits of that, and if you should do that, and my overall opinions of being just on E85 after 2 years over 93. So let's dive into it. But gotta start this off with a little chop. If you guys like how that sounds, do me a favor, drop a like, hit subscribe if you haven't. I have a goal I'm trying to hit of 10,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, do me a favor, hit subscribe, drop a like. I would greatly appreciate it. That is one reason why I love E85. I was not even 50% throttle, and when you're on E85, you get so much more like low-end power on E85 over just a standard like 93 tune. It gives you so much more of like a low-end range over the 93. I mean, that's just one benefit with E85 over 93. There's lots of advantages, and you know, disadvantages if you care about going to the gas station often. But yeah, I mean, you just get so much more of that low-end grunt, and you barely got to step on the gas to get out of someone's way or hop on the freeway. So something like that is a great benefits of E85. It is a chilly day. We're in the upper 40s right now. The sun came out. We might have cracked 50 right now, but it is on the chillier side. I don't have my Mickey Thompsons on the car, my street tires, so it is a little bit on the colder side today, and I don't want to break traction and, you know, be that guy. So that is why. All right, so if you're new to my channel, this is my 2022 Mustang GT Premium. It's full bolt-on E85, long tube headers, Course Extreme exhaust. Obviously, as I said, on E85, it's lowered on iBox springs. And for suspension mods, that's all I have. I do have Mickey Thompsons at home that I take to the track, or if I want to take some trips down to Mexico. And then I have a colder intake. It's not a tunable intake, it's just an aftermarket intake from Corsa. So I've had my 2022 GT on E85 continuously for the last just over 2 years now, and I've decided for me, it's not worth switching back to 93. The cold months, like around like it is now, you know, have it on 93 in the winter and then put it back on E85 in the spring. For me, it doesn't make any sense because it is a daily driver, but my excuse me, my commute to work isn't that far. It's like 7 miles, 6 miles, if that. It's not that far. I get E85 every week. Actually, that's part of what I'm doing today. I'm actually on the weekends. I go top off my tank and I fill up my gas jugs on E85. So I burn about a quarter tank of gas a week on E85 because my commute's not that far. So for me, it doesn't bother me. So for other people, if you're looking at switching over from 93 to 85, and your commute to work, if it is a daily driver, is longer, let's say half hour, maybe an hour, it might not make sense for you to have it continuously all the time on E85. How my personality is, if my commute was longer, I would probably still have it on E85 just because that's just like still keep it on 85 like it is now, because I hate switching back. I got drain the tank, swap the tune over from one to another, switch it back again. To me, that's a hassle. It's just too much. But I don't know, maybe my perspective might change if I was driving it every day, a longer commute and stuff like that. Then I would probably have it on 93 more often. But there is a drastic power difference between 93 and 85, even for NA. Going from 93 to 85, not including headers, you can probably see an increase in power from 25 to like 30 horsepower to the tires. And then if you go with long tube headers on top of that, you can get a significant more amount of power on top of that as well. A lot of these cars, full bolt on 85, can see anywhere from 480 to 500 horsepower to the tires. I haven't had this on a dyno since I did the full bolt on 85 with the long tube headers. I'd like to soon, especially this time of year when it is a lot colder. But yeah, so that's what this is about. If you want to stay on E85, for me, it's a hassle. So like I said, if you don't want to deal with the swapping back and forth, draining the tanks and stuff like that, for some people that doesn't bother a lot of people, but for me, it's just an extra step. I mean, James, every time we take the car out to Mexico, he doesn't drive his car every day. 90% of the time, he has his car on 93. I believe he still has it on E85 because the last video we did was some draggy hits down in Mexico. I ran a 928. So after you're done watching this, do me a favor, go back and watch that. I ran a 928 full weight car, full tank E, launcher headers, ran a 928. So as I said not too long ago, with going from the 93 to 85, one of the main things that you'll see right away, because not everyone will drag race the car every day, do like watt poles on 85 all the time, but just driving the car every day, stoplight to stoplight, hopping on the freeway, you do get a lot more low end power, and obviously with more mid-range. But for the majority of people, like I said, you're going to see a significant bump in power on the low end, because these cars on 93, even with like a standard 93 tune, they're not that impressive. These cars like to obviously rev out high, and you see a lot more high-end power with these cars. So the low-end range is kind of sluggish. The 85 makes up a lot for that. So that's another reason why do I want to switch? And 85 is cheap. Right now, I think we're right around $2.30 a gallon. I paid $2.31 a gallon last week, or it was even cheaper than that. We'll find out here. I'm on my way to the gas station, but it's pretty dang cheap compared to 93, which is still cheap, but not as cheap as 85. See, I barely need to like give it any gas to get some power. That would be so much more sluggish on the 93 tune. So another thing I wanted to touch on in regards to your car long term on 85, like I said at the start of this a little bit, is some people have said that you have to, it's probably a good idea to cycle through a tank of 93 because it's not good for the fuel lines, your injectors, and other kind of stuff, because it's basically essentially it's ethanol. It's 85, so it's not good for the fuel lines long term. So it's good to flush it out with standard 93. And talking to my tuner, Bobby Birch, shout out to you with your fantastic tune. Anyone that's looking for a tune, go hit up Bobby. He's with P1. He'll hook you up. But everything that he's told me, and other tuners as well, is that is completely false. It hasn't hurt anything. He's had his car on 93 for a lot longer than I've had mine. He hasn't had any issues. Now, we can't speak for older cars. I don't know anything about that. But in regards to these S550, the Gen 3s, haven't had any issues. I've had it on 85, like I said, now for just over 2 years. No problems with anything. Consistently every tank, one after another for plus 2 years, no problem at all whatsoever. So if anyone tells you otherwise, speaking from myself, as far as I know, no issues. It's not necessary to have to flush that. That's false. The only downside with E85 is the more trips to the gas station. As I said, your miles per gallon, it will plummet. I think I'm getting right now right around 13 miles per gallon on E85. So it's not fantastic. It could be worse. It could be a lot worse. I assume if I had like an ESS kit or a turbo, it would be even worse than that. I've had my miles per gallon actually lower than like 13. So 12 to 13 miles per gallon is what I've been seeing currently with mine. So gas miles per gallon, not the greatest, but that's the only downside. And for me, it doesn't really bother me that much because, as I said, my commute's not that far. And I'm stubborn. I don't want to switch back and forth from 93 to 85, just because for me the power increase is that much of a difference. Even NA, for me, it's not worth switching back. Another thing you're going to notice with the 85 is a significant improvement on your quarter mile times. I ran about 3 weeks or a month ago. I went to the drag strip down in Ennis, and I was only able to get one pass in. But I was able to pull off 1160 with just doing a 1.8 60 foot. If I would have gone a little harder off the line, I know I probably could have pulled off 11.5, but I pulled off 11.60, which I was completely happy with that. That was my first pass. And then doing your 60 to 130s, I was, like I said, I was 928. James, before he got headers on his car, going from his 93 tune to 85, he was a high 10, 60 to 130, and then he went from a high 10 to a 10.04, 60 to 130 with me in the car. If I was out of the car, he probably would have been like a 9.9, 9.8 before getting headers. So that's the kind of improvements you can expect to see on 85. Your quarter mile time, you're probably going to be at least a half a second faster quarter mile time going from 93 to 85, and your 60 to 130, he saw a huge improvement on that also as well. So that's the two main things power-wise. Obviously horsepower-wise, hopefully we'll get to the dyno and see what this thing can put on a dyno, but significantly power increases like that over 93 to 85. Woo! Love it! Another thing I like about 85, maybe it's just me, let me know in the comments if you agree. I love the smell of 85, and if you're catless long tube headers, you get all the smells, you get all the emissions. Look at that, $2 a gallon. That is why, $2 a gallon for 85. $2 a gallon for 85, boys. $2 a gallon. Now, I mean, it's not always that cheap. Average during the summer, I think the highest I ever saw was like 270-ish. Now, sometimes certain gas stations that blend in the winter takes a dive. So far here at Kroger, if you go to like any Kroger, the quality of the 85 hasn't gone down here. As far as I know, I've tested it. Still test pretty damn good. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Drop a comment, drop a like also as well, and please, as I said at the start of this, hit subscribe if you haven't. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to hit my first goal of 10,000 subscribers. If you're thinking about going E85, or you want to switch back and forth between like 93 and 85, for me personally, it's not worth switching back and forth. I prefer to stay on it. It is a daily driver, but my commutes aren't that far, so it's different for everybody. It just depends on what you use your car for and how far you have to drive and how far you have to drive to your E85 station. That's a good quality E85 station. Obviously, as I've said in the past, it is important to get good quality E in your car. So all that considered, for me, the E85 completely changed the car so much to the point, especially with headers, I don't see a point in switching back to 93, mainly because I'm stubborn, and you know, I don't want to. But on that note, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya. Bye.